Hey folks, earlier in the year I posted a video about what a day at the farm looks like. And so now we're at mid-season and that day looks very different than what it did then. I'm still packing up what I need for each day, but it looks very, very different than what it did in the springtime. At this point, the garden is about maintenance and harvesting. And so you can see that I have various jugs of items in there to spray the plants, all organic. I've got the BT that we talk about, the Thuricide BT for all of the wormy kind of things. I've got some neem oil that I'm going to try on the Japanese beetles that seem to have come now. I've got a fungicide for the tomatoes with the leaf disease they get, and I've got something for blossom end rot. I've been trying to grow Roma tomatoes without success for many, many years, and this year I've done everything they recommend. So I'm hoping that this is the year. Now, when I was first here in the spring, I had to dope up with way too much bug spray. At this point, the bugs aren't so bad. I occasionally do wear a hat because some days the deer flies are just really thick, and that's not good. Another thing that I bring along with me is plenty of water. I need to stay hydrated and some snacks or maybe even some lunch. Some other things I do carry in my car are going to be string, posts, scissors, and a knife. Those are very handy. All right, so I'm going to take you over to the garden and try to give you an overview of each of the plants. We may split this up into more than one video if it gets too long. All right, we'll see you over there. This is just an overview of the south garden, and in it I have okra, potatoes, Swiss chard, eggplant, dill, a little bit of broccoli, and a lot of squashes and cucumbers. Now, I want to show you some of the individual plants and what's going on with them right now. And the first one I'm going to start with is okra. This is the bloom of an okra plant, and I think it's just gorgeous. A lot of times you'll come out here and the bees will just be in there so happy. Now, they are a member of the hibiscus plant. These love, love, love hot weather. I feel really fortunate that I'm already getting some pods, but these were grown very early before the frost, and they survived it. But I do have another row that I'm waiting and waiting and waiting on, and hopefully one day we'll get them. These are the pods of okra, and later in the season I'll share a recipe that I make with them. A lot of people don't like okra because it's a little gelatinous, but if you cook it right, it is pure heaven. Next up are potatoes, and you can see here that I've harvested some potatoes. I always think of potatoes as a fall crop. That's when we always dug them when I was a kid. But I'm having a few plants that just don't look like they're going to produce a whole lot more. And so I'm going ahead and digging some of these potatoes. I'm actually really pleased with the yield I'm getting. And so there's no reason to wait. And I'm actually really excited about these red potatoes. Hopefully we'll have some for dinner. So this part of the garden is the squash section. There are some cucumbers in here, but they're kind of getting gobbled up by the squash. Now, you guys know that I did square foot gardening. This is the one section where I followed the rules for row gardening, and still my squashes are taking up everything. I have pie pumpkins. I have a couple Halloween kind of pumpkins. I've got Hubbard squash, butternut squash, delicata, and then a bunch of zucchini. Now, before I got to this part of the garden, I did harvest some salsa peppers that were ready. I'm ready for that salsa. Our garlic is ready. The peppers are ready, but the tomatoes are not ready yet. So soon, we'll just keep these in the fridge until it's time. But this is my harvest today of summer squash. This is actually a light harvest. I have a zucchini. My zucchini doesn't love me this year. That's okay because my zephyr squash does. If you've never had zephyr squash, you should experience this. I can only get the seeds from a couple of different companies, and that makes me sad, but they are worth it, even if you have to pay shipping just for this. It's yellow, and then it has kind of a green end. My friend Barb Lowe actually introduced me to these. Why do I like these better than any other summer squash or zucchini? They're just hardier. they don't have as much water, they cook better, they grill better, and they taste delicious. I did try another form of just yellow squash, which is called a butter stick. And I was hoping it would be much like the Zephyr, but it's just like every other summer squash that you get, whether it's crookneck or anything like that. But so that's our zucchini portion. This is an overview of the north garden, and it starts with Brussels sprouts, purple potatoes, collard greens, beans, purple pole beans, um, peppers, broccoli, tomatoes. What you can't see beyond the tomatoes are cabbage plants, kale, cucumbers, and more potatoes. This is probably my favorite garden to work in. It's just greener and it still looks fresh. The other garden really is starting to say it's the middle of the season and it's just not as green and lush, but it is producing a lot of food. Now, I already did pick some of this part of the garden, so if you're not familiar with tomatillos, these are tomatillos. They come in a little packet. They look like a lantern, and then on the inside, it looks like a little green tomato. These come in many varieties. Some of them are purple. Um, they are great for salsa verde. We make that every year, and it's delicious. Um, I had more peppers on this side of the garden, so I have jalapenos and my very favorite mariachis. The purple pole beans are just now starting to get ripe, so I have maybe 10 or 12 beans in here. In addition to that, I have a small head of broccoli. Um, I've already harvested most of my broccoli, and most of it looked pretty normal, but this is something I've never seen. And parts of this are really ready and parts of it are not. This is bigger than my head. So I'm going to take this home and blanch it up and or eat it up, but it's huge. Never seen this before. The other thing I'm harvesting today, I have a little cabbage, this red acre cabbage. And then I have a very much larger cabbage. And honestly, I didn't look at the label, so I don't know which kind it is. One tomato. So they're coming. All right, that's this part of the garden. All right, this will be the last section for today. And this is about the cucumbers. Behind me, there are cucumbers. There's a couple of muskmelon, and there's some squash that I'm experimenting with from seeds I saved last year. But for the most part, the cucumbers are taking over this area. I think I have 10 plants, and 10 is enough. One of the interesting things is I pick these cucumbers every day or every other day, and still I get a cucumber like this. Now, this is a fine cucumber for eating in the house. Slice it up, put salt and dill on it, or use it in fresh vinegar mix, something like that in the fridge. And then the next size that we've got is more for a bread and butter pickle. Now, I'm actually trying to pick these before they get to this big because my family likes dill pickles a lot. I'm actually trying to pick for this size, which is for gherkins. I'm excited to make gherkins. But I want to show you my harvest for today. This is my harvest. And so when I go home today, I'm going to wash them up and see what I have for pickling today, as far as am I going to do dills, bread and butter, or the gherkins. You can see my shirt is very dirty. That's because the pail was far away and I used it as a bucket. All right, well, that's kind of a day here on the farm. I'm spending 4 to 5 hours a day here, loving pretty much every minute of it, despite the sweating, despite the dirt. And you might ask, am I going to do it again next year? And the answer is, hell yeah. I'm having the time of my life. I'm learning a lot. I have food for my family and food to share with my friends, and even some chickens. Anything that gets too big, trimmings off things I've been saving for a local friend who has chickens, and I hear they really enjoy them. All right, I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for being here.